The United States Navy is the only organization on the entire face of the planet capable of spending $15 million to aggressively ventilate clouds. So in 1943, we didn't just lose a fight, we lost a fight against a weathered pattern, or something. We brought two massive battleships to a gunfight, realized the enemy actually didn't exist, and decided to shoot the ocean and the sky anyways, just to make sure that the water knew its place. By the time the smoke cleared, we had fired over 500 shells the size of a frickin' refrigerator at absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, the Japanese army that we thought we were fighting, they were in the background, literally packing their bags and waving goodbye. Today, we're talking about the Battle of Pips. The time Uncle Sam got gaslit by its own radar. Welcome to the Aleutian Islands. If you've never heard of them, imagine a place so freaking miserable that even a seagull looks like it's reconsidering its life choices. The Aleutians are a string of volcanic rocks off the coast of Alaska where the weather is basically depression with a chance of hypothermia. The fog here isn't just thick, it is thick. It's a wet blanket of, I can't even see my own feelings. Visibility is regularly zero. It is so gray that sailors started forgetting what color looked like at times. Why was the U.S. up there? So we were actually trying to evict the Japanese from the islands of II and Kiska, which we covered in another video right here. We'd already retaken II in a fight that was basically a frostbitten mosh pit, and now we're circling Kiska like a shark. We sent in Task Force 16.1, led by Rear Admiral Thomas Kinkaid. This fleet included the Mississippi and the Idaho. These are not boats. These are floating neighborhoods of industrial-grade spite, each armed with 14-inch guns designed to delete whatever they're pointing at completely from the timeline. Now keep in mind it's 1943. Radar is the new hotness. It is basically magic rocks in a box. They tell you where the bad guys are even when you can't see them. The Navy trusted their radar like a kid trusts a map to a hidden treasure. But physics, it's a fickle mistress, and she decided to pull a prank on Uncle Sam. So first, usually radar waves travel in a straight line, but in the Aleutians, a layer of warm air can trap cool air against the water, creating a hallucination pipe. The radars then hit the warm layer, bounce back down, hit a mountain on an island, could be hundreds of miles away, and then they bounce back to the ship. To the radar operator, it looks like there is a fleet of ships on the screen. But in reality, you're really just looking at the reflection of rocks from 3 time zones away. It's the electronic equivalent of catching a glimpse of yourself in a funhouse mirror at 2 a.m. and trying to fight your own reflection because you think he's looking at you weird. All right, just before midnight, July 26th, the radar operators on the Mississippi start seeing pips, 7 of them to be exact. They look like enemy cruisers, and they are moving. They are considered hostile. Admiral Kinkaid does not hesitate in the least. He gives the order to feed the ghosts some high explosive freedom seeds. And for the next 45 minutes, the North Pacific sounded like the end of the world. Mississippi and the Idaho start lobbing 14-inch shells into the soup. Each of these 14-inch shells weigh about 1,400 pounds. We fired 518 of them. And this is where the accuracy actually gets spicy. Some sailors on destroyers started panicking because they thought they saw targets closer in. So they started opening up with 20mm and 40mm cannons. When they finally checked what they had been hitting, it was birds. The U.S. Navy was so amped up on coffee and paranoia that they were literally trying to anti-aircraft a flock of soot-covered albatross. We were spending $1,000 a second to turn local wildlife into confetti, because they had the audacity to fly through a no-fly zone that was currently being occupied by a hallucination. Imagine just being a bird, looking for a snack, and then all of a sudden 30 tons of American industrial capacity tries to turn you into a simple memory. If you ask me, this is the peak of government work experience. So after about an hour of the pips, they just vanished. The radar went clear. The Navy patted themselves on the back, figured they had sunk the entire Japanese Navy. And then they waited to sunrise to count the wreckage. And that's exactly what happened. The sun came up, the fog cleared, and there was absolutely nothing. No oil slicks, no floating hat, not even a confused Japanese sailor on a piece of plywood. Don't let go, Jack. Just empty gray water and a bunch of very expensive smoke. But that's not the last kicker. While we were busy nuking the atmosphere and traumatizing the local bird population, the actual Japanese were escaping. The Japanese military that we were there to fight, under the same fog, they were escaping. They had successfully evacuated 5,000 troops from Kiska when 34,000 US and Canadian troops finally invaded Kiska in August. They stormed the beaches ready for a bloodbath and found the island completely empty. So look, we actually talked about this on a prior video. If you're interested, click the link here or just go to our page. That one is actually freaking hilarious. I had no clue the extent of that battle. But the only hostiles left were a few stray dogs and some abandoned coffee pots. The United States literally invaded an empty house and managed to suffer over 300 casualties from friendly fire and booby traps in the process. While we were playing 4D chess, the Japanese just left the board. So look, the Battle of Pips remains one of the most expensive oopsie daisies in naval history. We spent the price of a small town to kill precisely 0 people, some very confused plankton, and a handful of birds that were just in the wrong place at the absolute wrong time. So what is the point of this, you might ask? This is simply a reminder that even when you have the biggest sticks in the playground, Mother Nature can still pull your underwear over your head and make you look like an absolute dick. But hey, look, the operators got some practice, and the Pacific albatross population learned a very valuable lesson that day. That lesson would be staying the hell away from the US Navy. So look, guys, this video was actually a suggestion by one of you guys, so I appreciate that. If you guys have any other suggestions, let me know down in the comments. I would love to research and dive into your all's videos. I'm always constantly looking for things to research and explore with history, whether it be a little bit of conspiracy twist or just something goofy. I love little weird parts of history that a lot of people don't know. So if you have any suggestions, drop them down in the comments, and a like helps on this video more than you know. A subscription helps even more. If you guys want to see the next video I put out, go ahead and hit the little bell icon and it'll be sent directly to you. Appreciate y'all. Cheers.